video, you'll learn about a man named John Forrester. John is a missionary who lives on the edge of the Arctic Ocean in Alaska. John is there to tell people in Native Alaskan villages about Jesus. This particular group of Native Alaskans John works with call themselves Nupiat Eskimos. Taking care of passenger missionaries in the Arctic means facing some of the toughest working conditions on Earth, like being outside in a temperature of 61 degrees below zero. But surviving in the Arctic just proves to John that God is in control no matter what happens. Take a look at his story.
This is the Arctic of Alaska, a cold, rugged land of fiercely frozen frostiness.
Coldest that I have seen it since I've been here is -61 with a wind chill of -81.
Yes, the Arctic of Alaska, a nippy, numbing, don't get in the car because you can't get there from here kind of place.
There's no roads. The only way to get here is to fly.
Yes, the Arctic of Alaska, home to penguins.
No, not really.
Oh, okay then, the Arctic of Alaska, home to igloos.
Actually, there's no igloos either.
No igloo. Well, all right, the Arctic of Alaska, home to, Eskimos, maybe?
Yes, that's Eskimos, but not like you think.
Everything that you've ever heard about Eskimos is not true. They don't live in igloos. We don't see penguins running around and all that.
No penguins, no igloos, just Eskimos, or Native Alaskans, and a lot of snow. And a really big guy climbing on a really tiny airplane. For John Forrester, that's the real Arctic of Alaska. See, John's a Southern Baptist missionary, and it's his job to tell people in Native Alaskan villages about Jesus.
They're all above the Arctic Circle. They're small Eskimo, Inupiaq Eskimo villages, and hopefully we can lay the groundwork for starting some new churches in areas where there's not any churches. That's why we're here. Somebody needs to love the people and point them to the right way of Jesus.
John lives in a village called Kotzebue.
If we walk out our front door, go about 100 feet, we're right in the middle of the Arctic Ocean.
He and his family moved here from Georgia 8 years ago.
For us, a traffic jam is about 4 snowmobiles backed up on 3rd Avenue.
And living in Kotzebue took some getting used to.
We're 600 miles from the nearest Walmart. And it was quite an unusual culture shock for us when we started seeing the prices of milk, eggs, produce in the grocery store.
For people in the Arctic, wanting a turkey sandwich and a bag of chips means you better have lots of money, because living in the Arctic is very, very expensive.
There's no roads coming to Kotzebue. The only way to get here is to fly. And food has to be flown in, and so therefore it's expensive.
Every chance he gets, John flies out to other Native Alaskan villages. Pastors and church planters out in the bush are completely on their own, and it's John's job to be their friend, their mentor, their delivery man, even their plumber. But a wintertime flight to a remote Arctic village is not your typical business trip. In villages like Shungnak, the runway is really just packed down snow. The airport is really just a level spot at the edge of the woods. And the taxi service is really just a sled, a snowmobile, and a Native Alaskan.
There's times when you're out on the snowmobile at 30 below zero and your face begins to freeze and you're like, this is crazy, you know, why am I doing this? But Jesus died on the cross for the Eskimo people, and he needed somebody to come and help tell them about Jesus. And we said, here we are, we'll go, if that's where you want us.
John Forrester is not the only one who followed God to the Arctic.
Yeah.
Brian and Debbie Love are Southern Baptist missionaries in Shungnak. They have kids club here every weekday and church every Sunday. And John tries to visit them and get some of Debbie's Arctic soup as often as he can. For the Loves, those visits are a big deal.
We're pretty pretty much in the wilderness of Alaska. And whenever we've felt a need for anything, I mean, John's been there for us and taking care of us.
Today, taking care of the Loves means fixing the sink. It's not typical missionary work, but nothing in the Arctic is typical. And just about everything in the Arctic, even fixing the sink, shows missionaries like Debbie how God has power over circumstances.
Brian and I live from day to day here, knowing that God's going to take care of us. It's just amazing. And I think that's because we're living here on faith, knowing that God's going to take care of us.
It's the same for John. Taking care of pastors and missionaries in the Arctic means facing some of the toughest working conditions on earth. But surviving in the Arctic just proves to John that God has power over everything.
It's expensive. It gets very cold. And so that makes it hard. But you know what? God's in control of that. He's going to equip you for wherever he calls you. And that's why I came.